Growing up as the oldest in our family of 16, 13 sons and 1 daughter, we've always loved sports, anything to do with the outdoors. We grew up in a turn of the century, over 100-year-old house. I'm too young to remember, but I've looked at the old photos and the yard and the house were just in awful shape when Mom and Dad took over. One of the first things Dad did after moving in was put in a brand new lawn. Dad would work so hard trying to give us the perfect lawn, but he always put us first, and he didn't get mad at us when we would tear it up playing baseball. Looking back at those early days and up to the present day, I can think of 3 major times when we had some pretty extraordinary changes in how we handled our lawn care. I'd say the biggest change and most dramatic has definitely been the one that took place about 2 months ago. I'll tell you more about that later, but as you may have seen from previous videos, we now have 2 robot mowers. I'll never forget the first day my dad taught me how to use our push mower. I think I was 11 or 12. And from that point on, that became my weekly job. As you probably know, we actually built the family house many years ago from the ground up. And the family members, my brothers and I, my dad and mom, we did almost all the labor ourselves. And in fact, if you guys want to see the whole story of that, click above or in the description. Anyway, right after we built the home, we suddenly had our dream. We were out in the country like we always wanted to be. But we suddenly had all this acreage, much more than we had ever mowed before. We got a good deal on an ancient tractor and it was strong. It didn't fall apart, but it was just so slow. I would just be putting along at, I don't know what it was, like 3 miles an hour. You remember earlier I told you how there were 3 major breakthroughs in mowing strategies over the years? Well, I'll tell you about number 1 in a minute, which just happened recently, but number 2 was getting a 0-turn mower. Instead of it being a multi-day job, it probably turned into more like a 5 or 6 hour job. Okay, as I promised, I'm going to tell you now about our number 1 biggest game changer we've ever had in the category of lawn care. That is, as I alluded to earlier, Segway released something called the Navimow X Series. We did a little research and it turns out there was a local dealer and he kindly offered to come out and do a demo. And I remember that day when he was going to come out and bring it, but I was running a little late. I think I had a meeting. I forgot what I had. But by the time I got to the family property, he already had this thing set up and already had progressed and was actively mowing the property. I remember I just couldn't stop looking at it. I was just standing there looking at the mower, taking video of it, taking photos. I probably wasn't the best host for the salespeople for the first few minutes. These new Navimowers from Segway, you just basically put them on the ground. It has auto mapping features. It has automatic recharging. It's whisper quiet. You literally can't hear it unless you're within, maybe when you're 5 or 10 feet from it, you hear a little like whirring, and you can actually hear like individual blades of grass being cut. That's how quiet it is. Personally, one of my favorite features definitely is the Navimow app. It actually, you can download it on your phone, and then you use your phone actually as a remote, kind of like a video game, and you just map it out. You follow behind the mower, and if you want it to be customized, let's say you have a flower bed you don't want it to go into, or you want it to go around a lake and not jump in the lake, like we have a lake we have to do that for. It's so easy. You just follow it around, map it one time, and from then on it knows to stay within those parameters. Well, you can probably predict what happened next. We didn't want to say goodbye to the demo model, so we ended up making sure we got 2 of these exact same models permanently for our property. My brother Seth and I, and my other brothers too, but especially Seth and I, were just waiting every day for updated shipping information. We couldn't wait for them to arrive. The day they came in, I'll never forget, I got home and they were just sitting on our front porch. We took them into our family room. We took them out of the box, put the charging bases outside, picked a good spot for that where there was good reception for the signal. And from there, we just did some customized mapping around our property, around some trees, things like that. Oh, I should have mentioned this earlier, I forgot, but I'm going to be telling you at the very end of this video, we actually got invited by Segway to this special unveiling of their newest models that aren't out yet. Nobody knows about them yet. In fact, I can't even give you many details, but I can tell you some basics. So I'm going to tell you about that experience and what I learned at the very end of this video. Okay, here are a few favorite things that our family loves about these mowers based on our early experience. We've had these for about 3 or 4 months now. First, I'll tell you my mom's favorite thing about them. And she's told me this multiple times, but she'll sometimes get up, like early in the morning when it's still dark, or if she's up late at night for whatever reason, she'll look out her back window into the backyard and she'll see the lights. It's like a little light bar on these mowers. and she'll see them just putting along quietly, just kind of humbly working. And she said it actually just kind of touches her heart, almost like brings a tear to her eye to see these, selfless workers out there working. It's, day or night, even in a storm, if it's raining, they're still out there moving along. As for my favorite features, I do love the night mode. That's one of the things I just love seeing. Like if I'm driving away from the family house late at night, I just sometimes sit and watch the two lights just going around on the property. But I'd say my two favorite features of all would be the lack of clippings. Since you're mowing every 2 days, or rather, this is always going, so you're having a fresh cut every 2 days. There are no clippings. So I mean, there's none. Like normally if you mow every week, unless you bag everything, you're gonna have some clippings. And I think my second favorite thing is, or maybe tied for first, is the beautiful stripes, the beautiful lines you get when you mow with these, because it's all connected via GPS and their cameras. So they're when you set a pattern, and you can change any pattern you want from week to week, they're perfectly straight. I mean, much better than I could ever do, or the best mower could do. I expected we'd have to put these away during parties, but they're just so quiet, and actually they're big conversation pieces. I mean, that's not why we got them, but it's fun to see people react to them. And they're very safe. They can be around kids, animals. I mean, they have all these, they call it LiDAR. It's like radar, I guess, with light. And they have all these cameras like all the way around the mower. So they never run into anything they're not supposed to. Even something like a baseball, they're not going to run over that. If you know our family, we definitely named these mowers as soon as we got them. But if you can guess what we named these mowers, put them in the comments, and I'll tell you that later. We're actually about to get a third mower, so we're going to need a name idea for that one too. So even if you know the names of our current two, give us some ideas in the comments for mower number 3. Okay, as promised, I want to give you my experience of visiting Segway over at the Equip Exposition in Louisville a few days ago. We were invited to this private event, and it was really a cool experience. I've actually never been to something quite like that. They took me back to this private room, and I saw these black, I guess, coverings, or almost like a big black blanket, like you'd see like in an art gallery or something. And that only made me anticipate it more and want to see what's under there, because for months I knew something was coming, and I was just really interested because this technology is changing so quickly. So anyway, after all this anticipation, I finally got to see the unveiling. I saw them uncover these new mowers, and sure enough, there's a brand new residential model, and what I'm personally most excited about, there's an all new commercial model. And they're calling it commercial, which I'm sure is true as far as like it's going to be great for professionals. But honestly, I think it's going to be perfect for like people like us who have just a really big yard in the country. Or I could see like farmhouses, the houses that are set way back from the road. They have a gigantic lawn. Just to kind of start to wrap up here, while I can't tell you the specifics of the new mowers that are coming out, I can tell you something that actually I didn't even tell this to Segway. This is just something, a little experiment I did on my own. But Segway had invited me to come see the unveiling at their exhibit, which I did. And after that, I said goodbye. Everybody assumed I was leaving. But actually, I ended up deciding to buy a ticket. I just wanted to see other things too. I wanted to see other landscaping stuff. And it turned out there were probably over a dozen robot mower brands, maybe more. I bet maybe it was more like 20. So part of me was almost like, oh, I love Segway, but I'm not sure, like, what if I find something that's just like so much better, like so far ahead or something. I couldn't think of what, but it was just like, you almost just kind of second guess yourself. Anyway, I looked around. I mean, there's always individual little features you could nitpick about, but honestly, by far, I'm happy that we're going with Segway. And I think they are the leader in robot mowing world right now. Just the technology, the amount of acreage, just the hills they can do, just everything that I'm aware of, they're ahead on. So I just felt really proud to be a part of it and to have these little new family members patrolling the property. Oh, and speaking of family members, I should probably tell you the names in case those of you who do not know. Okay, the first one, after much consideration, we named it Mo. And it's not M-O-W, although that's kind of a pun, I guess. It's M-O-E. So I guess it's kind of a mix between a tribute to Mo from the Three Stooges and a little play on words with the word Mo. And the second one, our youngest brother David came up with. We were tossing around ideas. We thought about like, Trimmy and Clippy or things like that. And we ended up going with Trimothy. And David came up with that one. And as soon as he said it, Seth and I just started kind of cracking up. And it just we thought that's a good sign that was meant to be his name. So it's a little more formal. Timothy is a beautiful name. And in fact, I'm going to have a nephew named Timothy soon. So anyway, it's Mo and Trimothy. And now we just need help deciding what to name mower number 3, who is about to be born. In fact, it'll be arriving in the mail any day now. So let us know in the comments. What do you think? Mower number 3, should it be, if we want to do the biblical thing, we could do like first Trimothy, second Trimothy, or if we maybe want to do like Clippy, or what else? Just some normal name like Ralph or something. I don't know. But put it in the comments. Maybe you can help us name the third Arndt mower. As far as features, obviously things could change in the future. I don't know what the future holds with all the different mowing brands, but I can confidently say from my perspective, I think Segway is the leader in this category of robot mowers and innovation. And it's just was confirmed when I saw their latest models. Before I go any farther, I was looking at our analytics recently on YouTube, and I'm pleased with how many views we're getting, but I'm surprised that a lot of you are not subscribed, which could mean that you'll be missing some of our videos. And we're going to be making a lot of in the fall and the winter. That's like our heavy producing season for videos. So if you wouldn't mind just subscribing and maybe even hitting the notification bell, that would help us a lot. It helps to get it out to more people and helps us stay connected to you.